Hello, and thank you for tuning in to the Stuff I Heard podcast. My name is Josh Peak, and I have Jan Vodrazka here today. Hi, Jan.
Hi, how are you?
Jan's been on here a few times, actually. I was going to write down all the times you've been on, but you can find it, people. It's not hard to find. It's JANVOD. You'll figure it out.
Razka.
RAZKA.
And it's the guy with the accent. Right.
So I work with Jan, and Jan's been on here before. We talked about how he grew up in the Czech Republic under communist rule. At a certain point, he moved away through playing hockey professionally and played hockey pretty much around the globe and ended up in America. And now you're here. Sort of. That's the really, really short version. If anybody wants to hear that, that's the first episode we did. I could probably find it if I looked in. But anyway, I'll find it and I'll tag it in the notes below. So if you're watching this on YouTube, read the thing. And then he came back on the next time. We talked about aliens and ghosts and shit.
yeah. Which kind of probably gets sidetracked a little bit with what's going on in the world nowadays.
So. Right. Well, and I think I had the third anniversary coming up, and I was like, "You want to do it on the third?" And then we had all kinds of stuff happen with COVID and with the eye and all kind of craziness. And then suddenly it was like, "All right, well, we missed that opportunity, but whatever."
Yeah.
But here we are. We have a revolution going on. Sorry, the microphone is acting up there. We have a revolution going on. Russia decided to wage war on Ukraine. And your microphone is still, hang on.
Yeah, that's okay.
This is the part of the podcast. But also people kind of like this part too, because it's like, oh,
yeah, no, that's, I don't know if I'm doing anything wrong, but
no, you're not. It's the equipment. It's been around.
All right, I appreciate that. So, thank you.
See, most people, they listen to a perfect podcast and they're like, see, this is what I pay for. I pay for perfect. This is free. So you
That's right.
Sometimes it's the real life stuff that you enjoy about a podcast. You're like, yeah, I get it. You guys could be professional and be produced and all that fun stuff, but you're looking at the entire staff right here. This is it.
Yeah. I'm part-time too.
Yeah. So anyway, back to what we're saying. I guess February, Russia just decided, you know what, we're just going to move into Ukraine now. I mean, as far as I could tell, I did take a couple notes. I was trying to like brush up on my history here. Mm-hmm. Geographically, I'm an American, so I'm an idiot. Okay.
Well, no, I wouldn't say that.
Compared to, I mean, it's where you're from. So your knowledge of the land is a little different. I was trying to Google it to find out the exact definition, but I guess the former Czech Republic is actually made up of several of the now area, the territories of the area, and part of it is Ukraine. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And
we called it the Carpathian Rus, which was like a Carpathian Russia, whatever, mm-hmm. because it's named by because of the mountains range. But anyway, you're correct. We used to be Czechoslovakia. Now it's Czech Republic, Slovakia. But back in days, part of Ukraine was part of Slovakia. That means Czechoslovakia. So correct.
And from what I understand, the area where there's a nuclear power plant there that's supposed to be the largest in Europe. It's got 6 reactors that produces something like 6 gigawatt capacity, is in some name I can't pronounce.
I don't know the name either, but
ZAPORICHZHI something. But apparently that area was part of the Czech Republic at one point. Mm-hmm. I didn't know a lot about Ukraine until this happened, honestly. And I know right now everybody's like, you should brush up on your history, Josh. Thanks. I'm a little busy, that some of us are dads and some of us are on the other side of the planet and have our own little stuff we have to worry about. But every once in a while, Russia decides, hey, maybe we should learn some stuff from Google now, and we should find out more information.
It's anyway, if you do that, you have to kind of see where the information is coming from.
Yeah.
And second, it's so complex over the centuries that basically the gist of it you have. That's what you need to really know. Obviously, it used to be a part of the Soviet Union, right?
Part of it used to be Hungary, I guess.
Yeah. And the borders changed in Europe so much, and but the most recent history, it's one of the post-Soviet Union countries. The reason why Putin invaded is, I think, very simple. He used a lot of excuses as NATO and all that stuff, but I think that as soon as he got in power and elected as a Russian president, he kept talking about how the fall of the Soviet Union in '89 or whatever, the 20th century, was the biggest tragedy of Russia or Europe. And he always had on his mind and spoke about it a lot, to actually rebuild it back.
Right.
And I guess Ukraine is one of the piece of the puzzle, or the first
Well,
one.
and from what I can understand of looking up the information about Ukraine, it is one of the most profitable areas in that area because of the natural resources that it has, the rare minerals that it has. Apparently, we are exporting 60% of rare minerals from there.
Yeah.
I guess a lot of the stuff that goes into technology, making our cell phones and smart cars and whatnot else, comes from that area. They have a lot of money. They're very profitable. They have a large population there. The weather's favorable. They're there near a port in the Black Sea, so it's in a very prime spot. And with owning the largest nuclear reactor in the area for Europe, they own energy.
They get 50% of their power from the core.
Yeah,
Ukraine, and it's pretty impressive actually. I think the only country that gets more in Europe is most likely, I want to say, France, which is like up to 70%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and like you were talking about with him wanting to have control back, like I didn't know that they had annexed in 91. I had to go back and look that up. But I guess that was during or shortly following the fall of the Berlin Wall and the fall of communism. And, when I was a kid, and you were a kid at the same time, we heard about, communism being awful and how we needed to get away from it. And how it was just this thing. And like popular television and movies and radio was all about, we got to figure out how to get the commies and blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden, like, I guess Gorbachev was like, it's not a bad idea. Maybe capitalism is pretty good. I mean, because he was looking at his own economy and everybody going broke. And I remember as a kid talking to people who had read, communist manifestos and Marxism and stuff like that. And they're like, yeah, communism sounds good until you put it into practice and realize that people are greedy.
It's a great idea.
And the top people just steal from everybody and just ruin the lives of everybody else below them. And then you get, bread lines and people starving to death and people freezing to death and stuff like that. And it's all, greed driven with the ideology of, no, we'll share all the resources. No, we won't. It sounds good in practice or in theory, but it's horrible in practice. So when the wall fell, I mean, Bert Kreischer is one of my favorite comedians. He talks about robbing a train in Russia. He talks about how when he was in college, when he's in college, the wall fell and then he went on a school field trip over to Russia and the mob ran Russia. I mean, because with the power vacuum of the military being absorbed and basically not being in Cold War anymore, it was like, okay, so who's in charge? And whenever that happens, that vacuum leaves a lot of nefarious people in charge. And so, Bert got caught up into that. And I highly recommend everybody checking out Bert Kreischer, The Machine. Check it out everywhere you can find it. It's really funny. But back to our story, like that did leave a power vacuum of going, okay, so what do we do? And I remember being a young adult around that time and watching on the news the Soviet Republic break up into being different areas. And I remember, the territories in that area changing boundary lines and becoming new countries. And I remember like Yugoslavia and Czechoslovakia was its own place. And all of a sudden it's like, no, now we have like 8 other countries right there. And you're like, wait, what? And I remember thinking, man, if I was in school right now, this would just blow my mind. But it's not that uncommon when you consider the fact that all that land is connected anyway. It's so different for us here in America because you have kind of defined borders and you're like, yep, this is America, that's Canada, that's Mexico.
I mean, think about it. The continent of North America is basically 2 countries.
Right? Yeah. And because of that, we really don't have the threat of anything like what happens in Europe at any moment, but that is a real possibility for everybody living in Europe and it has been for history. I mean, I listened to Dan Cummings' Time Suck, and he talks all the time about different raids that went on over the centuries between the Huns and the Romans and and it's just, it's one empire over another empire, always taking over land for property and resources. And whether it's, minerals or gold or people or water, whatever it is, it's always a resource that they're fighting over. And I guess here we are so insulated because of being surrounded by two oceans and having neighbors that are like, yeah, so we're cool.
Yeah.
We don't want to be the bad guy, but we can be next to you. We like you.
Yeah. What do you think about, so just about the nuclear power plant? You hear and see in the news and read that Russians were bombing it, and then they took over it, blah blah blah, and then I guess the energy prime minister or whatever, minister of energy or foreign affairs of Ukraine said that if they're gonna blow one of the reactors up, it's gonna be worse than Chernobyl. What I obviously noticed, and what's very clear, is that the information, disinformation, and propaganda war is full blown.
Yeah.
And obviously, in the age and the days we live in now with the social media, everybody has a cell phone. Everybody has a ability to put some kind of informations out there that instantly thousands of people will see. And it's so hard for me to listen to any news, to read anything, and make anything out of it, because it's coming from left and right, top, bottom, and it's Russia is not bad. They're being portrayed. This is all fake and blah blah blah. It's so hard. But one thing about specifically that power plant, I found hard to believe is that Russians are trying to invade this country or take over. Obviously, the best idea would be to take it with the least casualties and infrastructure damage, correct?
Right.
So we can
absolutely
take over, use it, and go on. Well, I don't believe that the Russians were like firing missiles into a nuclear power plant of a country that they are right outside of and trying to take over.
No.
Yeah, they were bombing it, but probably the perimeters, the
security outposts,
security of whatever, and then they got and took over it. But every media and everybody's like, "Oh my God, they're so stupid! They're firing missiles into the reactor, pretty much."
Yeah.
No, come on, guys. Like,
well, and I've seen some right-wing people saying that their version of it is that if the U.S. allows them, this is the weird part, is like somehow we're supposed to be the police of the world. If we allow them to move into the Ukraine, and that green lights China to retake Taiwan. And I'm like, okay, but also that's not our fight to fight. I mean, I like the fact that we're a strong enough country that we can help people from time to time, but also we need to stop fighting everybody else's fights. Like, it's not our big interest to step in where we're not needed.
I don't want to sound just, I was going to say just like you, but I agree with you completely. I don't want to sound, I guess, insensitive to people in Ukraine, the kids and all that. It's terrible. But what does it have anything to do with the US? Why do we care so much here right now at this point, where we have enough of our problems? We can simply and easily replace the 3 to 5% of oil we get from Russia. We put all the sanctions on Russia and want to kind of hurt them economically, specifically, and then we are still paying them for oil right now. That's oxymoron. That's why I think it's so much more complex, all this, and there is so many ties into this, where I think that don't you think that some of our politicians and don't care if Ukraine gets blown up with all the people that are in charge, because they might know some stuff?
I think that in general, nobody wants innocent people to die.
Yeah.
I think that if you look at it on the surface and you say this other country is invading another country and they didn't provoke anybody, they were just suddenly attacked, it does feel like, hey, the bully's attacking the small kid. Let's stand up for the small kid. And I'm one of those guys. I joined the Marine Corps for that reason. I mean, that's kind of my deal. But at the other hand, you go, yeah, but this is kind of supposed to happen in history. I mean, I don't know that I feel callous in saying that. And obviously, I don't want anybody to die in the situation. And I don't want there to be, I don't like the fact that it's through military force when it could have been done other ways. But I mean, there's only so many countries that do this very diplomatically. China plays the long game. They go in and they buy property until they have votership, and then they end up. I mean, that's kind of happening here in America. We're seeing it right and left, where China's buying up a good portion of Myrtle Beach, and next thing you know, they're on the city council, and next thing you know, they got a state right, and it's like, hey, we're going to make some votes go our way. I mean, I've seen that in Jamaica over the past 15 years difference of them buying up every single property along the beach, and then suddenly they make a better infrastructure, and everybody's like, hey, these Chinese folks aren't so bad, and then they're like, haha, we got ya. But there is that idea of our country is struggling right now to handle its own needs for energy, for resources, for diplomatic issues within its own borders. And it's like, hey, why are we involved in another conflict that has nothing to do with us, except for the fact that it's always after a resource. And in this case, I think it's after the rare minerals.
Well, the worst part is, I think that problem with the problems you just mentioned, they're sort of fixed, and they got broken again. I'm not saying they were solved and whatever, but we were on a pretty good way, I believe, to be independent. When it comes down to energy, borders looked fine to me. Not fine, but but you're correct. Like, we have a lot of problems here, and we don't have to worry. We just got out of this one mess over there that nobody mentions anymore, and we are going to be getting into another, but I think we are tied to it more than we think, because we're part of NATO, and that's the only problem.
Well, and which
I don't agree. I don't like NATO. I think it's a useless organization, to be honest. It's a joke. Before Trump came into office, US was pulling the whole weight of it, basically doing any kind of a policing, money wise, whatever. And when he came, NATO can't like Trump, because he basically said, no, you countries need to put as much as we do, or according to the size of your country. And they didn't like that.
I don't know the history of NATO, but
it started in 49.
I think I heard in a podcast it was right after World War II.
Yeah.
Because they were trying to figure out like an allegiance of people to stand up against if another Hitler were to stand up.
Yeah. Well, right. Yeah. Kind of a few years later.
Kind of.
But are they standing up?
I mean,
well, I guess not. I guess they would if it would be one of their countries, right?
To a lot of countries, we're seen as the biggest empire. I mean, history would look at America as the biggest empire. I mean, you look at how the Romans tried to conquer, or the Spanish, or the English, or the Huns, for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about conquering and taking over and having ownership and having people and boots on the ground. And we've done that, even though we're not over there.
Mm-hmm.
Because of our ability to travel. I mean, we've set up bases all over the globe in a lot of places where they don't want us. And is it necessary? Does it make the world safer? Does it just make us safer? Is it are we overstepping? I mean, that's always the question I have is are we doing more than we're supposed to be doing? But the one thing that I haven't heard anybody say is the fact that war makes money. Every time that we have a war, which is all the time, it makes money. We didn't have these before 9/11. These were made because the military threw a bunch of money the military threw a bunch of money at telecom, said, hey, we need a way for our guys to talk through these mountains. The equipment we got is crap. And so with billions of dollars, you suddenly have really good equipment.
Yeah.
And listen, exponentially, everything about our technology got better. It cost people lives, but it's big business. Now, that's the thing about that was my only speculation when it came to 9/11. Before 9/11, I was thinking, wow, the economy is not really doing that well. And this is about the time that we go to war with somebody. And then 9/11 happened. And I was like, crap. Am I right? Is this like, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but right away it's like, oh geez, is this the moment where it's like, aha, we got a bad guy, let's go chase the bad guy. And if you watch like House of Cards, they do that.
I hope with 9/11 it was just timing,
I do too.
I hope that it wasn't. I sure hope they could have found a better reason to go to war than just kill Americans in our soil.
But I mean, Russia as a whole, I don't know that they were profitable right before they went to war with Ukraine. I mean, yeah, they were selling fuel, but the oil they were selling, the crude oil they were selling, I looked it up earlier, like 61% of it was being imported by Canada.
Yeah,
And
but
why is Canada importing Russian oil when they can just make their own?
uh,
Unless they're just trying to protect their forests and they're like, you know what? We
I
don't want to ruin this. We got a good thing going.
I
We'll just
think
buy it.
the environmental thing.
Yeah.
But you know, pretty much the whole Europe is dependent on natural gas from Russia.
Yeah.
That's the biggest problem. That
Well,
that Germany is pretty much dependent on in that way.
and I read that natural gas is created there, but sort of fine for somewhere else because there was something about on it was online today, something about British freight workers would not offload natural gas to Russia or something like that. And I was like, is that from Russia or to Russia? What's the terminology
No,
here? Am I reading
I'm
this
pretty
wrong?
sure they make it send it because there's huge
Yeah,
pipelines going straight to Europe.
maybe they were saying they wouldn't offload it from the trains.
Maybe they were protesting and not want to
Yeah,
buy it from, and that way finance Russians' invasions.
yeah,
Could be. Do you believe that this whole thing could have been diplomatically avoided?
no,
Do you
no,
think
because
Putin was basically looking for any reason?
I think he's looking for any reason. I don't think that Putin is a diplomatic person. I think that he's probably taken testosterone, a little too much HGH, and is like, okay, good reason. We fight now.
Yeah. Well,
I
but
mean, he's
did you see his or ever read the main demands he had
no.
and when it's talk? See, so
I know there was some kind of argument over the fact that the Ukraine wanted to join NATO,
yeah.
and because the United Nations was like, that's not a bad idea. We could let
Mhm.
NATO in. And then he was like, that's it. I'm out. And
So
I'm going to war
so
because of that.
yeah, well, yeah, basically true. Um,
Is it because they used to belong to the Soviet Union
so
and
basically
them
that
joining somehow he took it as a slide of saying that now you think you're as big and bad as we are? Okay, I'll show you.
well,
Is that
Ukraine basically is the buffer between him and Europe, right?
yeah.
And if Ukraine would join NATO, they can move the missile bases, whatever
Oh.
points into Ukraine, and then he
Oh.
felt really super threatened. And not to forget that all the Baltic post-Soviet Union countries like Latvia, Estonia,
Yeah.
all these countries, he wanted basically what he was asking for: Ukraine be a neutral country, never be allowed in NATO. He wanted
Kind of like Switzerland's sort of
yeah,
a neutral
yeah,
country.
yeah, and wanted them to push the NATO bases and whatever they got going on away more from like more west, you know, and he wanted also there is 14 post-Soviet Union countries, and he wanted a guarantee that they will never be part of NATO, and they never ever actually came and said, you know, when he started building up the forces on the borders and the kind of threatening with the invasion, um, they never really went to the table with him and said, okay, let's fly to this neutral place and let's just talk, the big boys, right? From NATO countries and him. And they knew the demands, they never talked to him. I just have a feeling, and this is my idea of all this. When he started building up the military presence on the borders of Ukraine, and kind of saying, I'm going to invade unless you're going to talk to me about this and agree on some of this stuff and negotiate. None of the people from European Union, NATO, whatever, ever said, let's have a big summit and let's sort this out. And maybe we can give and take and you can give and take and we can kind of work it out. Well, they never talked to him, and he was building all the military forces. And then what he's supposed to do? He's gonna, you know, as you said, he's on
He can't look
testosterone.
foolish then.
He's gonna be like,
Yeah.
oh, so I brought the army here. They won't talk to me. I won't get anything out of it. I'm gonna turn around, go home. Not a chance, right? So I think that NATO and Europe, they sacrificed Ukraine, so they don't have to agree with him to move the bases and NATO positions back, and don't ever have to talk to him about the other post-Soviet Union countries not to be part of NATO. I really truly believe, but they are foolish enough to believe that if he invades and captures Ukraine, that he won't maybe go to Poland or any further. That's the part they didn't kind of think about or calculate or don't want to or don't care, you know.
Yeah.
But So that's not me sticking up for Putin or anything. I think he's a piece of crap and whatever. But I think that it could have been diplomatically avoided, or he would have to find a very different reason to do it if he was gonna do it anyway.
Well, and the really difficult part, I think, for the people of Russia and Ukraine, because we've seen people in their own country protesting, saying, "Why are we doing this?" Because they have family ties there. There's a lot of people in Russia with family in Ukraine, and vice versa. And the people are on the streets. 2 million in one city and several 100,000 in another city, and they're on the streets, trying to protest. And Putin's like, "Yeah, I don't care. We're still doing this."
Did you hear Lindsey Graham today?
Yes, that moron.
Uh,
I don't think he understands what history is and how that's a terrible idea, because then you make a martyr out of the guy.
He's right. He's right that if anybody will take Putin out, it's gonna be within the oligarchs, whatever. But for him to say it, I mean,
right?
It's very unfortunate,
Well, some people don't have a filter, and unfortunately, he thinks that the shock value is going to make him popular.
Well, that's what I think he's seeking for.
Yeah,
like, it's crazy. Like, you don't say that. We are trying to still kind of like maybe possibly talk to this guy.
Yeah,
it's
see, that's one of the things that I think that was sort of Trump's mishandling of things when he was in power, was he wasn't willing to talk to people. He was a lot like Putin in a way of going, "Listen, you're going to listen to me. I'm going to do what I want to do, and y'all going to kiss my butt." And just sort of pushing his way through nonstop. And it's like, okay, but once in a while we need to talk to people. Once in a while we need to let people know they can talk.
But who do you think he wouldn't talk to, though?
It just seems to me like he, in every conversation I heard him have on anything, he didn't want to have a conversation with anybody.
But he talked to the North Korean crazy guy. He had a decent relationship with Russia.
I think he was just trying to out crazy him. I think it was a chess match. I think he out crazied him just enough for him to go, "Yeah, I don't know about this dude. Like, let's just play with our toys over here till he's gone."
I don't know.
And, once he was out, I mean, the dude from North Korea is like, "All right, so we got these hypersonic nuclear missiles, and we're going to be casting them out." And I can't believe that Russia or China is not looking at North Korea going, "You settle down there."
Or they're saying, "Hey,
you're right next door. How about you just chill out before we get in trouble?"
Or they might be like, "You want to come and join?"
Yeah, either or. But they're enough allies that they do trade with each other.
Mm-hmm.
But they're enough of unfriendly with each other that they go, "You just stay right there, crazy."
Yeah.
I mean,
well, yeah. Did you see Putin was probably only the president that came to the Olympic opening ceremonies?
Yeah.
And he came there, basically struck a deal with China about natural gas.
Mm-hmm.
That basically they're going to take from him more than he's putting in Europe, which is pretty much for the whole Europe. So he was kind of getting financially, I think, kind of prepared, to replace the...
he's not a dummy by far.
No.
I mean, he's a smart guy. But I think that I think he wanted to pick a fight. I really do. And I think that he knew, like you were talking about, if he takes the steps he's taking, that the world really can't retaliate like they say they're going to or could. Because he's like, listen.
What really surprised me was, well, I guess I shouldn't say that with him, was when he activated nuclear weapons and all that stuff. That was like, I thought it was kind of a word nobody wants to really say nowadays, and like, I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah, okay, we're there.
Yeah,
right.
You're kind of, yeah. But I don't know. I'm really like,
so if you're listening to this podcast still, just know that if nuclear fallout happens, don't use conditioner because it attracts the radioactive material to your brain.
Is that right?
Yeah, just don't do that. It's something I learned in the Marine Corps.
I don't think it will matter at that point.
I'm just saying, you leave your conditioner at home, just in case you survive it and you want to live a little longer. Yeah, I mean, unless you don't, then
tape the vents.
Run outside, put some sunglasses on, and get a tan.
Yeah,
see what happens.
But now I just back to the whole thing. I don't care what they say about like Klitschko or Zelenskyy. To me, they are heroes.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter if you like them, dislike them, what they've done or didn't. But if Zelensky would be a president who wants to profit and get super rich off of running a country,
He wouldn't be on the streets right now.
he's out there. He's out.
Right.
He's out with his millions of dollars in private jet and his family.
But he's also in the streets right now with flat gear on and a weapon in his hand going,
and
all right, I'm going to defend my country.
And I mean, you got Klitschko. I mean, he's a millionaire from boxing. His brother is back there now. He with a little bit of a better career, younger brother, but it's pretty impressive to see heroes nowadays. Those are probably to me superheroes. You know, that's just crazy. But have you seen the information that Zelensky escaped or assassinations attempts, like 3 of them?
Yeah.
There is another military group that's sympathizes with Russia. And Wagner's, they call them the Wagner group. Anyway, long history. And then, of course, the Chechen fighters, which is amazing to me that Chechnya goes and enters a fight with Russia hand to hand to help them after all the stuff they've been through. And that's
they just
amazing.
Want to fight. They're bored.
Almost you would think so. They killed so many Chechens, invaded the country, just whatever. Then you had Chechens basically terrorist attacks on Russia. They killed 330 people in Beslan in Russia over the 3-day siege, and now they are sending the special forces to help them to kill Zelensky and everything. That's a crazy world to me.
Well, and also like with all this going on, like I feel responsible enough to say, if you know anybody here in the United States who's running a Russian business, this is not them. Do not go after them. Do not treat them unfairly. It has nothing to do with them. They're in America. They're trying to make a living. They're just trying to provide for their families. Talk to them, reach out to them. They're your neighbors. Get to know them. Let them tell you their story. I mean,
I completely agree. I can agree more than great set. You said it awesome. Like, I can kind of relate because, growing up in communist regime and then the wall coming down and in 89 and the revolution and all that. Not every communist was a communist. Yeah. The same. Nobody knew how long the regime will persist. You had to do what you had to do. It doesn't mean if you were a member of a communist party that you were a bad guy or fully participating. You might have done it just because you wanted your kids to be allowed to go to the school and get the education that you wanted them to, or have and hold the job you needed to hold to, and part of it was be part of the Communist Party. So excellent point. I mean, it's crazy. Like some of the sanctions are truly just hurting people who don't want to do anything with the war, disagree with it, and just want to have a good life.
There's a lot of people out there that when the pandemic outbroke and they started saying it came from China, they were people out there shooting Chinese people or anybody of Asian descent because they were like, oh, we need to, and violence broke out everywhere.
I would ask them, why do you think these Chinese are here?
Right. Because they're trying to get away from where life is awful to make a better life. And it's like, geez, are you kidding me? I mean, there's a guy that I delivered to up in North Carolina, and he was telling me that he was shutting down his Chinese food place. And he was like, I got to shut down. And I was like, really? I was like, you've been here for a long time. He said, yeah. He said, when this pandemic outbroke, my guys were getting shot going home at night. He said they were literally taking shots at them for fun and then killing them later. He said there's been 6 of my guys that have been killed in the last year. And I was like, what?
From one restaurant?
Yeah, from one restaurant. Just from dumb rednecks out in the middle of nowhere who are just like, we're going to get him. If you're listening to my podcast, do yourself a favor and fly over to Ukraine right now.
Yeah, fly to Ukraine or China.
And go to China and see what it's really like and fully integrate yourself and enjoy. Enjoy. Trust me.
Wow.
And if you're listening to my podcast, don't listen anymore. I don't want you. I don't need you. Just move on.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm sure there's plenty of yeehaw rednecky dummies that'll be happy to have you.
No, that's crazy, man.
But it is one of those things where people forget to humanize each other. 9/11 happened, and in our area we have a lot of people from the Middle East who have taken over businesses and they've moved here to make a better life for their families. And they're like, listen, it's not me. I'm like, I know it's not you.
Yeah, no, but yeah.
I mean, I know your name's not really Bob, but
Yeah, right. What's your? I always look at it, I'm like, okay, what's your?
yeah, I know it's not Steve or Bob,
Yeah,
but that's the agreement we have. That's your name, and
yeah,
you just own the business here that I'm having to work at. But whatever. But they all say I came here to make a better life. I didn't want that for my family. That's why I'm here.
yeah.
And they're making me look like the bad guy, and I'm like, just live above it. That's all you can do is live above it.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I feel the same way about coming from the South. I'm like, I gotta do my part to make us not look dumb. Come on, people, we have the internet now. We can be smarter.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I fail a lot of times.
What do you think the outcome will be if you would have to predict?
So
are we gonna get dragged into this?
no, maybe. So I can't even say best case, worst case, because there is no best case.
No,
there's
already
just
not.
we're already over that. It's just going to be worst case, worst case. One possible instance is like you were talking about, Russia could take over Ukraine. They decide, oh, this feels nice. Let's take over one of our other places that we used to own. Let's take that too. And maybe they step a little too far. Maybe they go for Poland. Maybe they go for Switzerland.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they go to Germany and go, we're going to take you back. Well, okay. World War III, here we are.
If anything, he will probably go after the Baltic countries, the former Soviet Union first, if anything, I believe.
Yeah. And I don't know that there's going to be a lot of people that's going to come to their aid. I don't know.
I think
for our country, it is really not in our best interest to get involved. It is in our best interest if we want to have cheap cell phones and cheap gas and not have resources within our own country, which we have plenty of, but we just won't take or use. Or we could get them from Canada. Any of our neighbors have it. Alaska is a nice, plentiful area. I mean, let's face it, Alaska is the biggest territory other than Russia in the entire planet. And we're like, no, let's just save that. That's God's place. And it is. It's beautiful. But if we're talking about energy and fuel and resources and whatnot, we got to make some drastic changes. I mean, I drive a big Dodge. Maybe it's time for me to look at a Prius. Maybe it's time for me to get a Tesla. I don't know. I mean, maybe this is Biden's secret green plan of going, I told you guys need to be moving towards it. And all the car manufacturers are like, listen, we're making green vehicles. They're coming out in 2025. I've been saying that for a while. It's been reported. They're going to make mostly electric vehicles by 2025.
Is that right? That's the target date.
It's time to get on board. Does that make us more vulnerable? Possibly. Does it possibly move us towards being greener? Yeah.
But what's going to happen with the batteries?
I don't know. There's not enough batteries. But there's physically not enough batteries right now.
But what about when the cars are old and the batteries are old? Where are we going to put them?
You get a new Freshy Fresh.
But where are we going to store them? We have already problem and trying to figure out where to store the burnout uranium rods, and we fight over it. And now that we are going to have,
I think the metals could be recycled. I don't know. I'm hopeful. I don't know enough about it.
Me neither, but I
wish I did.
I know that was one of the problems. They were saying, okay, we emit emissions, but eventually, some of the stuff from the batteries are unusable, which I kind of find it hard to believe that there is not a technology to fully recycle every single part of the battery. That's kind of like,
Well, I don't know enough about rare metals.
No.
I mean, however they can,
if it's like spent like uranium or whatever.
I don't know how they can get energy from a rare metal. I'm amazed that the whole technology even exists.
It's definitely. But what I've heard is, so far,
this is stuff I heard. See,
Jan
heard it.
True, I heard that. But that could be a problem. But I at this point, I think that if Ukraine Ukraine will defend themselves as they do, and it's going to last longer and longer. The crazy guy is going to start pulling up bigger and
bigger
guns and killing more civilians and destroying more cities.
Yeah.
So at this point, the best case scenario would be Zelenskyy and all these leaders who stayed are heroes, but get out. um, I don't want to say it like this. This is crazy but I just don't want any more civilians die.
Yeah.
And that's and it might not the end. If nobody's gonna come to help them, they're gonna eventually just be captured.
Yeah.
And at this point, it's about the least casualties, but at the same time, you know,
who else has a military
it's
force to face Russia except for the United States? I mean, China's not going to. It's in their
they're
best
gonna
interest if
be
China
hand-
just
yeah, and then,
if Russia chugs the other way, they're like, have fun with that.
Mhm.
You know, but who over there has the military force except for our U.S. presence? And I don't know that we need to be part of it. Although the thing that really bugs me is the Ukraine asked for the no-fly zone to be raised
Yeah.
through NATO, and NATO said no. Why would you say no?
That's what Biden said. It's not time for it yet. I'm like, when is time for it? Like,
Right.
look at that.
I mean, what is his handshake agreement with Putin?
Well,
Because obviously he knows more about what's going on than we do. He has to know enough to go, we have a plan.
now would Russia really respect it, or they do the no-fly zone? Russia goes and flies, and now NATO is drawn into it. I think that's the main reason.
Yeah.
They know that Russia wouldn't give a crap, and they would,
Yeah.
and that would be the reason that they couldn't just look on. They would have to get and do something, and then we are in World War III. So that's maybe why they just don't want to do it, because they know they would fly in there anyway.
And if everything turns nuclear, this may be one of the last podcasts you ever hear.
Yeah.
So
hopefully not.
Cheers.
I still like it. I still like it.
I do too. I just got to where I got my room painted. I mean, come on. I got the lightsaber.
Let me enjoy it. Yeah. I don't know, man. I just feel bad for the people fleeing, leaving their dads behind and husbands, and it's nasty. It's the worst part, obviously, of it. So,
well, and it's people have always been at war since day one. There's always been somebody after somebody else's resources in one way or another, whether it's for people, for slavery, or for breeding, or if it's for resources, whether it's water or minerals or gold or whatever. People have been at war. We are a warring people. It is actually uncommon for us not to try to kill each other.
True.
That is the crazy part.
Yeah.
We're sort of insulated, again, being here in America with oceans protecting us and some really friendly neighbors. But it's kind of in our DNA. I mean, I have a friend of mine who's very peaceful, and anytime there's any kind of civil outbreak, he always comments about, why do they have to take it to a violent place? And I'm like, I could take it to a violent place pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I was like,
I mean, I don't.
I sort of understand it. I mean, I don't want to, but I understand it. And it's one of those things where you go, okay, I know this is in our blood. This is sort of what generations of us have done. But for several generations now, we've not done it. We've been pretty docile. We've been pretty controlled. We've, tried to manicure our lawns properly and treat each other cordially and come up with new inventive ways of communicating like this.
Well, yeah, that's what I tell these people is, peacefully or but if everybody's fair and peaceful, like we don't need there would be no war. But everybody's fair in their head is different.
Yeah.
You think this is fair, and why wouldn't you agree to it? Well, we are different people. We see fair different ways.
Right.
And so it's kind of how you said, we've been in war. We are going to be in war. There's going to be disagreements, and it's possible.
Like, we'll take television as an example. The show The Vikings, the first season, the Vikings are invading what is, Wales and England and stuff like that, and they're right in their head, like you said. Their rationality is right in their head of, I can take it. I'm going to take it from you.
Yeah.
Why shouldn't I? You're smaller than me.
Expanding, and we want it.
Yeah. It's really cold where we live, and nothing grows much. So I'm going to kill everybody here and take what I can.
Mm-hmm.
It's rationale in their brain. It's not to the people getting killed, but you know, I don't know. I hope, like you said, I hope that the civilians can get out of harm's way. I don't want I don't want the violence to escalate. That is unavoidable. It is going to happen. I just hope that it doesn't reach a nuclear level. If we're drawn into a world war, you're going to see a lot of awfulness happen across the board. Um, I think that globally, we have to realize that we can work together and we can understand how to help each other. But there is always going to be people out there that are desperate for change and desperate for resources and desperate for control and power. And it's intoxicating.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that, you know, growing up as Putin did in a communist controlled country and then watching it disappear and your country turn into shambles, your idea is, I want this to be great again. And
Especially him being in KGB and,
yeah,
and being part of the regime, you know?
absolutely.
I mean,
You know, why can't I use force again? This is what I did before. Why can't we take back these lands? Look how soft they are now. Yeah, it's sad. You know, I feel so blessed that I'm here.
that's what I'm saying.
I had nothing to do with being born in this country. Um, and you know, if it's God or fate or whatever you want to call it, I'm in a pretty good place here, and I hope it stays peaceful. Um,
I almost feel guilty at times, to be
yeah,
honest with you. Like last year or two, I catch myself thinking of okay, if I get up at 3 a.m. and I'm like, oh, I don't want to go to work, and then I sit in a car and I'm like,
hard to
there's
be shot.
people are in a bomb shelters right now.
Yeah,
They're being
they're
separated, families are being separated, dad is staying to fight, you know, if you
or
see
everything they own's been blown up, and they're literally walking hundreds of miles to safety.
yeah. I mean, and then I'm like, just go to work. And
Yeah,
then you come home and you can jump in your pool, you take a nap, you go to the fridge, you eat. Like, it's like, this is heaven to those people. They would think that, like, and we are just like whining and stuff. Like, and then I go on vacation and I'm like, so there is like a war in one country. And I'm like in Orlando right now, enjoying myself and like just buying this and that. Just, I'm like, this is surreal. This is not even fair. Like I
yeah,
know that people can say, you know, he's just saying that, then do something about it. Well, at least I have the conscience to know that I guess we are super lucky here. We are
yeah.
still super lucky.
We're super lucky. I don't want to get involved in it. I I don't want to get shot at. I don't want to shoot anybody if I don't have to. Um, I don't know. Um, here lately, I've been thinking on a regular basis um, about my kids and thinking, okay, they're of the age where if this thing goes sideways, they'd be like, hey, time to serve Uncle Sam.
There's a gun.
Here's your gun.
That's what they are doing now, right?
Bad guys are that way.
That's what they're doing in Ukraine, full mobilization. I just saw a picture today where there was like
Martial law. Yeah.
four classmates, barely 18. They got like 4-day training. Here we go. They had the knee pads but again, you know, we talked about the social media and propaganda and information and all that. But I do believe that. But there is a lot of stuff that I don't believe that Russia was trying to blow up the nuclear power plant to take it, right?
It's all about ratings too.
Yeah. So
I'm watching this show on Apple Plus. It's called The Morning Show. It was it's got Steve Carell in it, Jennifer Aniston, and Reese Witherspoon. It's basically about the thing with Matt Lauer where he was inappropriate with a bunch of ladies and the sexual abuse stuff that was going on with Weinstein happened around that time. And so this is based on a morning show where one of their people on their staff was caught doing something. And so this is sort of a show about that. And I guess Jennifer Aniston's character is supposed to be like a Katie Couric type person. So all this awful stuff's going on in the world. And yet, you know, and they're also talking to people who are, you know, victimized or whatever through sexual predators. And here's a guy on the staff doing it. And it's like, and the whole time, like he's acting in the show and he's like, listen, I didn't do anything wrong. Like he's just, he's trying to humanize his experience of what he thinks is right, and it's like, oh geez. But
So he's not admitting he didn't do it. He's just
up to
saying
now,
that.
I haven't watched all of it.
So he's kind of saying like, yeah, I've done it, but it's not wrong. What I
I'm like 7 episodes in, and he still doesn't think he did anything inappropriate.
Okay.
And then they show some of the inappropriateness, and you're like, ooh, whoa.
Again, right? As
Yeah.
we talked about fair or not fair,
Right.
inappropriate can be
But
somebody.
all that's going on while there's
might be
all that's going on while there's regular news going on. So like one of the events they were talking about was the shooting at Vegas, one of the biggest mass shootings ever.
Oh, the Mandalay Bay Hotel, during the country. Yeah.
I just happened to listen to a podcast. I'm listening to it today. Dan Cummins has one called Time Suck, where he talks about what happened and the details and stuff, and how it relates to politics and Alex Jones and his craziness and all this other stuff.
But
and
how does that relate to politics?
So they're doing this show about the shooting while he's doing this other stuff, and I'm thinking the whole time, this is so far out of the realm of what life is happening for and people in other countries and the dangers that they're in and the fates that they're having, and you know, and it is a blessing in a way, but it's also squandered. We squander a lot of the things that we're given as gifts just by living here. I mean, like you're talking about, you get in a car and you're like, oh, God, where today?
Yeah, but like you're in a big ass car going to work and then coming home for full fridge.
My coffee's not hot enough.
Yeah,
right? I had to wait 5 minutes for this.
Yeah,
really?
Nobody said you have to get up. Don't do it. Spend less money. Work.
Yeah,
worse job. Whatever.
Yeah, you hate your job. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I catch myself though. I'm not saying I'm still not happy, but you know.
Well, I mean, we have a new company coming to our area who does something similar that we do, and there's a lot of people going, "Oh man, that's gonna be great." And I'm like, "Why? It's the same. It's the same. It's just a different label.
They're gonna deliver the same thing,
right? They're gonna have the same problems with staffing.
What is it? Can we name the company?
Cheney Brothers is coming to the area.
How big are they?
I don't know. I haven't seen any. I've seen a few of their trucks in the last 14 years. I'm not afraid.
I'm not worried. Either.
But it's like, okay, so what? They're going to be dealing with the same issues we're dealing with, and the way our company is, like, if they want a resource, they just go purchase it.
Exactly.
And if they don't think it's a threat, they go, we'll just wait till you're out of business.
Yeah. They're going to purchase it and shut it down. Or
I'm like, I got 5 weeks of vacation now. I ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, exactly.
You're getting close to there.
Exactly. And that's what I told my wife. We are talking obviously about relocation at a certain point when, you know, we are getting close to where all the kids are going to be gone and in college and all that stuff. But, you know, I said to her, our company is big enough and it's got enough APCOs where we can move, and I don't have to start with 1 week of vacation. So if we are moving somewhere and you think that I'm going to start somewhere with 1 week and you're going to be living the life and vacationing, you're wrong. We are going somewhere where there's an APCO and I can transfer.
And if you transfer, you'd be basically a new guy for a year, but then your seniority kicks back in.
Yeah,
but that's what happened. We've had a few guys do
that. Is that right? Is that how it works? For a year?
For a year.
I can do it.
And I'll take your route because
you know what? Like, there's a lot of people.
I'll be home really quickly.
Yeah, well,
I didn't say that out loud. Sorry, no,
but
nobody's listening.
I have a lot of people after my round.
Yeah. I told you a long time ago. I was like, stay where you're at.
I heard that.
Trust me, stay where you're at.
Yeah, my wife, when this route became open, and I was thinking about putting my name down, but I'm a creature of habit, and I, you know, even my Georgetown route, you know what it used to be like, and I just didn't want to really go. I was afraid of the new, and she's like, "You're in Florence and Hartsville and Darlington, just take it." And now she's like, "You're already home. Oh my God, do you ever work? How many hours did you work this week?" So it's funny. She goes, "You know, I can't believe I made you take it. Now you're home all the time." But it's nice. It's a good route. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's still, you know, good amount of cases and whatever. But
it's good work.
But what helps is that you don't drive. You don't drive, but 30 minutes tops. And you know, with our, you know, routes and job, that's what kills time. It's the time to the destinations you go. Yeah. So,
but you know, again, we have some of the best problems in the world to have because we're busy, we're making money, we are not getting shot at.
Yeah.
We don't have a large country next to us trying to take us over at any moment. We don't have to flee with our family. I mean,
We are still superpower,
yeah,
where we can pretty much, you know, defend ourselves, no problem, I would say.
we're like the overconfident small wife with a big boyfriend going, yeah. What are you talking to? That neck tattoo on you. You think you're a big man? Come at me, man. Come at me. You're like, shut up.
Yeah. Just
We get to say a lot because we know nobody's going to come after us because we got a big superpower behind us. And it's like,
well,
hey, I live in America.
the only way that Russia could ever defeat us or do anything is just go crazy,
nuclear.
push the button, and
Yeah.
then everybody's done. So
And everybody's pushing the button.
who nobody wins then.
Right.
But if it would be without the nukes, I mean, the US doesn't have to worry about it.
Right. Right.
At all. If you run out of oil, really a lot of oil, well, hopefully by then you're gonna start using Alaska and all that stuff, or finish the Keystone pipeline or the XL one anyway. So there's no problem. We can be self-sufficient, no problem. So
well, we are definitely a superpower in the skies, in the sea, on land. It's pretty confident to go, yeah, nobody's coming over here. But the nuclear part is the part that goes over the top of everything.
Oh, it's over.
But that's an end game for everybody.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter at that point.
But funny you mentioned the skies and whatever. What everybody is puzzled with and kind of like a surprise is how Russia is not dominating the airspace over Ukraine.
Yeah.
And they even have the experts and the Air Force people to kind of analyze and see what's going on. And also they would think they would like the ratio of Ukrainian jets compared to Russians is ridiculous, right? And they're putting up a fight, shooting a lot of them down. And they're also surprised they didn't destroy any of the bases where they fly out of, and not really dominating the sky, which is kind of surprising. I don't understand it either.
Well, but also you got to think about the minds of the people in Russia, in the military. It's easier to fight when you have a cause. When you're just doing it because the guy in charge is like, go over there and shoot all that.
The morale definitely is an issue.
Right. So, I mean, again, there may be people in the military that have family there. They're like, I don't want to bomb them. I got friends there. I got family there.
So have you heard the reports of, they sent the first forces that came and supposed to invade Ukraine were the youngest one. They were like the 20 to 18 years old. And they were not told they're going to war. They told them to march this way.
Oh, no.
And they found out when they got shot, they would cry and call their moms that they are in war. Then even the villagers, some of them capture them, and they let them like FaceTime. There is videos. Now, again,
I did watch a video of
where he cried and talked to his mom.
I saw one of people rolling up to a tank where the tank was out of gas.
Oh, yeah.
And there was Russian kids inside of it. And they were like, they opened the top and they were like, we don't have any food or water. They just told us to get in here and go this. And it's like, they're just sitting there like,
yeah. Some of the villagers, the Ukrainians, will give them a tea, feed them, let them call their mom. And they're like, we were told this is a military exercise. We weren't told we are going to war.
Right.
So, and then, also, what's kind of puzzling to me is the equipment and the technology that they don't have. They were showing some of the equipment. They use analog two-way radios. The regular people can just tune in and listen to them. And from the communications, what people report and record, super demoralized army. Not knowing what they are doing, under-equipped.
So then again, that throws into the idea
of propaganda.
Is Putin just putting people in motion, hoping for blowback? Like he's got his best troops just sitting back and sending some idiots forward, some young kids forward,
yeah,
and going, you guys go that way.
Oh, is it really happening?
And then wait for
Just
something
like
to
that.
happen and then go, okay, now we're going to, since they want to go to war, we'll bring out the big guys.
Or as we thought about the propaganda information war, is all of this really happening the way it is? You know what I'm saying? So I take it, I watch it,
I mean,
I read it, and I step back and kind of,
information is the key. And so like the big report was out that that all of their telecommunications had gone down and they had no internet access. So Elon Musk sent
the Ukrainians,
yeah,
right? Because they put the tower. Yeah.
So the Elon Musk sent, I don't know how many of these Starlink satellite things over there and said, here, hand them out, get the information out.
By the way, I saw when I was in Cape Canaveral, I watched the Racket live, which was pretty cool. It was one of the Starlink actually taking few more. They're gonna have like 4,500 of them.
Yeah.
And now there's 2,000 some, and only like 15 or 1,600 of them are actually functioning before they. That's crazy.
But he's like, be careful. If they find it, they'll probably bomb it. So just use it.
He actually sent that.
Yeah. He's just like, here, use these.
At first, when Elon Musk started with all the Tesla cars and the space program, whatever, I wasn't a fan of him, or I was kind of worried. To me, I thought he was connected too much to the government and all that, but I like him more and more. I think he's actually a good guy. He stands on the right side.
Yeah, I like how he Tesla sold something like 100,000 units of Teslas to Hertz, and there was some press conference where some reporter asked him. He said, "So your stock just went up by $11 billion. Were you aware that you could pay off all of the world's hunger for 9.8 billion?" And he was like, "Really?" He goes, "Where'd you get that information?" He's like, "The World Health Organization." He goes, "Cool." He said, "I've actually looked into that because I've thought about paying it off." He says, "But the World Health Organization has raised $89 billion over the last 30 years, and they've not ended world hunger. So where's the money going?" He said, "You show me where the money's going, and I'll write a check tomorrow."
Yeah.
And I guess somebody from World Hunger was like, "Oh, crap. We better produce something right now." And he, I guess, turned around and wrote a check for like 6.8 billion because they were like, "This is really all we need." Really? And he goes, "Cool. There you go." Sold stocks and just gave them the money. He's like, "Make it happen."
He's
and I've heard there's been a couple of people on was it Jordan Peterson was on Rogan, and he said, "We've actually ended world hunger." He said, "The only thing standing in the way right now is politicians." He said, "We have the resources and the things available to give people what they need."
I mean, look at all the people like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, how much money they funnel.
Yeah.
Don't tell me it's not, and with Elon Musk.
Yeah.
It's a cake.
Politics. They're all in the way. There's people that are trying to pay for their summer homes and they got to get kickback. And that's what drives me crazy whenever you hear about, energy crises and this and that going on. And then, and we just gave a $111 billion bonus to the leader of Exxon. You're like, what?
Yeah. I love when you see the CEOs and their bonuses, and it's just
why doesn't that go to the people? I mean, why doesn't that I mean, I get it. You're running a company. You should deserve to get some reward for running a good company, but it's a little exorbitant when you consider how much it's hurting the American people, or not just the American people. We actually pay some of the lowest taxes in the world on gas.
So I never seen that much money that they make or ever be around it, but how much money do you really need to have the lavish life you have? Like, how much lavish does it get at certain point?
Well,
after several millions of dollars,
I think the answer is more.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess you can always go bigger with everything, yachts, or whatever. I don't know.
Well, I mean, this past week, I was riding with a driver, and they were talking about the top richest rappers, about how many millions they had, and I was like, wow, it's a pretty interesting conversation to have on morning radio. Sort of puts in perspective the people who are buying the music versus the people who are making the money. But also, good for them. I mean, I'm glad they found their hustle and they're making it work for them.
Hey, they're not
hurting anybody.
They're not hurting anybody, and people are willing to pay them that much. Right. So, I mean, what is he gonna say? No, that's too much. I'm sorry. No, that's what I'm talking about. When people criticize say some athletes
I would rather
contract.
they get money than the leader of Exxon.
Well, true.
You know?
Yeah. And so you see an athlete that signs for this ridiculous contract. I don't care which sport. And
Right.
people are like, oh man, he's overrated. And why not? Like, so if you would be him and you know you're not worth it yourself and you suck, and they come to you and say, this is the deal, you're gonna say, no, I'm not worth it. Let's just do this and see where it goes and do year to year. No,
Yeah.
like, right. So why are you mad? What did they say? What do they say? Don't hate the player, hate the game, right? That's what it is.
You know how crazy this world is right now? We have this horrible conflict going on overseas. And I see on the ticker today that the Broncos are going to trade like a bunch of draft picks to try to get Aaron Rodgers. And I'm like, wow, really? In the Broncos jersey? Okay. I'm thinking, wait a second. Have I forgot there's a war going on?
Yeah.
What? Like, this is, I'm actually thinking about it. I'm picturing Aaron Rodgers out there throwing a ball around in Denver.
Yeah, but there's been a rumor also that he might go to the Steelers.
Oh man,
but I can't see that. I can see Broncos more than Steelers. But
yeah, well, the Broncos are, I mean, okay, again, perspective wise, we know there's a giant war going on and lots of people are dying, but also
they're switching a lot. Yeah.
But
you're right.
We are in a very unique position of lavishness. You know, we're safe here right now, and we have all these weird distractions. I mean,
we can go and consume our lives with that, because our impact. What we can do, we can get a few $100s and here and there and feed somebody, whatever, but we can't live and watch the news, and worry about it, because
I wonder, do you think there's ever going to be a time, this is a real science fiction-y kind of idea, but do you think there's going to be a time where people are going to be war tourists?
Wow. That's so very interesting.
We kind of are now when we put reporters on the scene,
right?
And we see stuff go on and they're in harm's way and they're showing you what's going on. But do you ever think there'll be a time where you will actually go overseas and watch a war happen in like a little protective bubble type thing?
You will be like in the
Jurassic Park,
the Pope Mobile.
The Pope Mobile, you know, you're like
take you through the war zone, and you sell different packages where you see crap being blown up, or you actually get fire.
Yeah.
On.
Yeah.
And it's like gonna be little.
So if
more.
you want to touch the weapon, like that's an extra. You upcharge, you know.
Or you can fire a missile.
Do you want to shoot it? Do you want to shoot it?
You sell packages
who wants to get in a tank? Raise your hands. Who wants to get in the tank? And blow up the building. It's fun. Just blow it up.
It's gonna be different packages. Ride a tank, and then you pay more to actually shoot the cannon of a tank while you're riding.
Maybe that's
how this is crazy.
Maybe that's how Putin could have made money other than infiltrating another country. He could have been like, "Who wants to blow crap up? Come over to our country."
Can you imagine?
We got. Can you imagine? Instead of having Disney World or Disneyland, you got Disney Russia, where you blow stuff up.
You paid for being in a Pope Mobile and go through downtown Kiev being shot at.
Like he hits the glass and oh, that was close. Do you see that?
I mean, this is so wrong. We are gonna get criticized for this because we are making fun. But no, that's strictly about the tourism. As we have obviously, have you ever thought of space tourism? No, now it's
sort of.
Well, at certain point we did start thinking about it, but now it's reality basically. So this is even easier, basically.
Hey, but I don't know if you've noticed. One thing Putin did do for the country, he ended COVID.
Oh,
because we're not wearing masks now. This week they just went away
around the world.
Yep, yeah. Nobody's wearing a mask this week.
I haven't heard COVID news, which is nice. The last time I heard about it was the State of the Union disaster speech.
Yeah,
that's the only time. And then he mentioned one sentence about the Afghanistan.
I just think that if there's not something to worry about, we worry about too much. Is that fair?
or
'Cause-
there is nothing else to worry about
Yeah.
at that time.
That's what I'm saying.
So they blow it up.
It's
Correct.
like,
yeah. So now the war came, and we are like, okay, we got something better, bigger,
it's like
or
having
newer.
it's if you have okay, so here's an example. Let's say you have a work dog, like a husky
Mhm.
or a German Shepherd, or a dog that needs work. It
Mhm.
needs work. Like it's bred to do work, and it doesn't work. It kind of goes crazy and starts chewing up the furniture and biting its own arm and that kind of stuff.
It's hyperactive.
Right.
Yeah, those
It
are
just
the worst.
needs
If you don't
something.
keep that, yeah. I
So
know.
maybe our country's so geared towards war, and then suddenly it's like, we got a little bit of peacetime. What can we obsess about? Oh, let's do these mass things. That's a big deal. Yeah, let's talk all about it. Let's have all this stuff going on. The
And
media,
let's get people mad at each other and fight each other because one is wearing one and one not, and we're supposed to wear one. Yeah. Could be.
Yeah, I mean, they just got off of the trend of race relations, and before that, it was the Me Too movement, and it's just, to me, it's a cycle of, we always have to have an angle of something to argue about, and if we don't, then we lose ratings, and if we lose ratings, we lose the Crest commercial.
But
we got to sell more Tide.
But it's all geared toward separating people, putting them on one side or the other.
Well, that's the biggest ratings.
It's never about anything else. It's just okay.
You
vaccinated or not vaccinated. You black or you white. You wear a mask and you don't wear a mask.
Yeah.
It's always,
and you sell more. You sell more when people are angry. People click on things more when they're angry than they do when they're happy.
Probably just all strategy, man. You're just in the game.
So I've tried to do something recently that's off script. I've tried to lately unplug from things and just spend some quiet time every day, not touching my phone, not watching the television, even if it's just walking around the yard for a while, sitting on the back porch for a while, sitting in the garage, whatever, going for a drive, not listen to the radio, not listen to anything. I've tried to lately just take a few breaths and unplug from the world a little bit. And I've seen a lot of people talking about that, how they've just been overwhelmed with social media. And again, this is a totally stupid thing going on, considering the fact that there's a good portion of the world at war right now. But like, I feel a lot happier when I'm not engaging in the world. There's a lot going on right now, and you can literally take in content nonstop.
I've been trying to do some things like that, and it's more for my
mental health,
cuckoo health.
Yeah,
I call it cuckoo
health.
I don't think I have a mental issues. I have a cuckoo issues. It's very different, to me it is, because even my route is not bad. I got my job down the path, whatever. I still get Monday scaresies, and or if I'm at home longer, I start thinking about work. So I basically made a point where I go to the gym 3 times a week, doesn't matter what. And I try, if I am in the yard and working, I don't listen to anything. No radio, no music. My phone is in the house. And then it started when I walk my dog. Always leave my phone. I talk to her. I just kind of look at the nature, work, whatever. So I try to do that too. But then I feel like I come home, I sit in front of the TV, and I'm making up time.
Yeah.
Lost on the phone.
Yeah.
And I hate that. And it's a lot of this stuff like useless. I'm not saying that I read a lot of news and all that stuff, but there's a lot of stuff I do useless. But at the same time, it's like stupid TikTok I sometimes watch, and my wife is like, "How old are you?" I'm like, "But you don't understand. This is me turning my brain, laughing at stupid stuff.
Yeah,
it's funny, and it's short, and it's not serious."
Well, and it's so easy to constantly feel like you're not enough, to constantly feel like you're not learning enough, or you're not involved enough, or you're not, whatever. I mean, there's always people coming to you with information that you don't have, and you're like, God, why didn't I read that? Or why don't I know about that?
Google.
Yeah. I mean,
I want to know so much at times.
The stuff going on with the Ukraine and Russia, I'm like, I don't know enough about this. I remember hearing on the news years ago, whenever the Soviet Union broke up, about them annexing and becoming their own country. But, and then there was a few years ago where there was There was another conflict that happened
They
in
took part of it, the
2014.
Crimea.
Yeah.
But Crimea, 95% or 90% of the population is Russian anyway. It seems like that most of them actually will come to be part of it. But again, it's not part of their country. It's complex.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was like, it was one of those things in passing of information that I sort of knew, but didn't really know.
Mhm.
And then, you know, all this happens and you go, I don't know enough.
If I would have to
learn.
research everything I come across and really kind of think I need to before I like blabber about it, like I need to know more.
Yeah.
But then that's all I would do. I would Google and find information.
But I mean,
I'm like,
there is a
it's
point.
okay not to know stuff.
There is a point. There's a point where you have to have that agreement with yourself of saying, it's okay. I don't have to know everything.
Yeah. Yeah, but you are right. Like you feel almost pressure. Like,
yeah,
I should know this. Like
last week I did a podcast on ADHD and have we created kids in ADHD because of information and because we're constantly bombarding them with more and more information.
Do you remember when you were growing up, going to school, anybody taking a pill for that in your class?
No.
I haven't heard. It's crazy to me.
If you had too much energy, it was like, go stand in a corner.
You got slapped.
Go stand in a corner.
And, yeah.
Or
you came home with the know that you were talking and not doing what you're supposed to. You get beat. You beat your ass.
Yeah.
And then I don't care if you have ADHD or so. You just sit there because you knew you don't want to. You just
you doodled.
You learn.
I doodled.
Yeah,
I made lots of drawings. What is that? That's not your test. I'm like, yeah, but it looks cool, right?
Exactly, right? So no, you're perfect. Yeah, So I believe it's somehow tied to, our civilization and society now.
I think we're responsible for it though.
Yeah,
not intentionally, but things that we enjoy have branched out in so many different directions so quickly. Whether it's music or movies or history or whatever, there's more and more information all the time where we're constantly going, oh, you like that kind of music? Have you listened to this? And then you take them down the road of a billion other things they could listen to. And then they make a comment about a movie they like. They're like, oh, that's a crap movie. This is the movies you need to watch. And then you give them a billion other movies they should watch. They're never going to catch up. They're never going to want to catch up. At a certain point, their eyes are going to get squirrely and they're going to be like, yeah.
And the best part or worst part is like every time you see them or talk to them, hey, did you watch it yet?
Yeah. but we're all doing it, even though we don't realize we're doing it. And kids are going to constantly feel like they're never going to measure up. I mean, really, unless they go hand-to-hand combat and, you get them involved in sports or martial arts or something like that. They're not gonna know how to relate to the real world when it comes time to grow up, and they're gonna constantly feel like I am not ready. And I think we've sort of done that for a whole generation. Mm-hmm. The people in Crimea, the people in Ukraine are not worried about that right now. They're firsthand right now experiencing the world. The world's happening to them. If they're making life and death decisions.
Up and defend their country, they're gonna feel like they did enough. Trust me.
Yeah.
For a lifetime of other people. So
I don't know if it's right if we get involved. I don't know if it's right if we don't. I mean, it's just.
Let's say I hope we don't. I don't know. I don't know what circumstances would make it right or wrong for us, but I just hope we don't.
I think if we do, we make it worse.
Yeah, definitely. We are closer to that little stupid button that will end it all. But let's don't do the no-fly zone because they would fly through it anyway, and then we will have to do something will draw us in. I think that's one of the reasons why they haven't done it. And I don't know. I don't think the president will survive this. I don't think Klitschko in Kiev will survive it.
I saw Elon make a comment about the International Space Station. He goes, finally, we have a reason to get rid of the Russian part of the space station. He goes, that thing needed to be gone years ago. I wonder.
Oh. Yeah, I saw like a funny picture of what it looks like on International Space Station. And then it was like U.S. sitting, Russians sitting over there. You know what? Those people don't care.
No.
They're good friends. They've
lived up there looking at the Earth differently and they understand what it took to get there. But also, that portion of the space station does need to be replaced with something updated because it's the oldest part.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Well,
it was
Elon offered to create a new
right.
one or something.
Absolutely. He would love to.
By the time I
Not for profit. He just wants to do it. He's just like,
well, that's
I kind of got an idea, guys.
yeah.
Let Elon run with it. I mean, geez.
He's a brilliant guy, man.
He has made it public that he doesn't care about money anymore.
No.
He's just like he rents houses now. He doesn't own any property anymore.
Is that right?
He's like, why do I need to own a place?
I know he thinks about that all the time. He talks about that car sharing program.
Yeah.
He's like, why would I just have
That's
a
what
car?
he talks about with old cars.
Yeah.
He's like the old Teslas. We're just gonna use them as Ubers. We're gonna be self-driving, and they'll you just order a car, it'll show up. And
that's basically what he's talking about. Yeah,
insurance and taxes on a vehicle when you can just order a vehicle to.
It's gonna come pick you up.
You got to work at 6 a.m. Just be like, car pick me up at 6 a.m. And there it is.
Like, I think that's. I mean, we are not too far off.
It's not a terrible idea.
Not at all.
I'm kind of drinking the Kool-Aid there, Tesla or Elon. I'm just saying.
Yeah, just send one for free. It costs you like $1 to make it at this point.
I don't think I need to buy one. I think he's gonna have the self-driving portion of it figured out by the time gas prices reach $10 a gallon.
Our friends have one. My friends from Kentucky, they met us in Pittsburgh in January. I sat in it. I looked at it. It was kind of cool. I mainly played with the stuff where you can change the horn sound, and you can do the fart one, and then you can also talk like Darth Vader through the mic to out. So and it was in the garage too, so it was echoing. So I was playing with that. I thought that was cool.
That's good.
But I don't know. Those cars are pretty cool. The charging and the batteries obviously are getting better and better. The range of your.
The thing I like about his cars over the others is he's the only person making cars that makes it better the longer you own it. They're constantly coming up with software updates and charging updates, and every once in a while he'll get on Twitter and be like, you know what, if you bought a car before this air, you get free charging at the charging places.
That was what was crazy to me was that
anybody who bought a Model X in the past 10 years, you get free charging every superstation out there.
The crazy part to me was that they would like activate, like say for Christmas, they had it, right? So for Christmas, they would send them obviously the show where it plays the music and
makes it dance.
Yeah, stuff like that. And then as a real gift, they activated the steering wheel warmer. So now you can have a steering wheel heated, right? So, and there is all other stuff, obviously, that you can activate or not activate. And you can either activate it for 10 grand when you buy it and have it for whatever you have it for, or you can do monthly payment like a cell phone for the service. But what's interesting is it had the hand warmer capability the whole time. They just activated. So every single car has got all this capability. It's just matter of if you're activating or not, which is crazy to me that actually they put it in the car to possibly to be able to do what one of these functions, yet it might not ever be activated. So what is the cost of actually, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like you're buying like a fully loaded vehicle or XL or whatever. So you're putting the stuff in it. Here it has it. It's just matter of fact if you are willing to pay to activate it.
The only thing that makes me nervous about it right now is the fact that I get Consumer Reports and they still don't rate really high on Consumer Reports for like dependability. I guess there's some issues that people are learning, but I mean he's constantly trying to make things better, whereas most car companies would be like, yeah, just buy the next one, and he hasn't been like that. He's always been working on making improvements. Which is really responsible when you don't have to be responsible.
Yeah, I think the cars are interesting and very cool. I think
and so far 0 commercials.
True that.
No commercials.
How is that? How does he go?
Word of mouth.
He just decided not to do that.
There's no need. Money. There's no need to spend money for a commercial.
Does he talk to aliens? Because he's super revolutionary. Like he
might be.
This is crazy.
He might be an alien.
What was the saying? The saying Rush that was the saying, if you make $2, make sure you spend one on advertisement, right? He completely took that out of the equation. There was one of the old guys, British guys, that was a millionaire, self-made, and he said that was his wisdom. And Elon is like, nope. Keep all that money.
You don't need to. When you make a revolutionary product and you make it good enough, the internet now does commercials for you.
That's
ownership.
That's the game changer, right?
Ownership
is the social media internet. That's the game. Back then, obviously, probably you had to advertise, have a billboard somewhere.
Well, in the beginning, everybody was like, what is a Tesla? So then there's people out there who own them going, let me show you mine.
Yeah.
And then every time someone had a new one, they go, I got the new one.
And they start posting on social media, right? Like saying, look at it, what it does. This
YouTube.
Is cool. Yeah.
YouTube is a testimonial style sales pitch where it's people who own things going, I really like this thing. I want to show you guys what I like. There's no need to spend any money.
I never thought about it. That truly is not. Yet there is one in space, right? Remember he shot that one in space.
There was some update online that says
if it burned,
what does the car look like after 4 years of being up there?
I would love to see that.
I wish there was some way to know.
Yeah. It's surprising to me he didn't have like a camera on it, like that you could broadcast flying in space, which would be kind of cool. But you can he would make like an app. You could watch the car. It would be cool.
Yeah.
Come on, Elon. Work on this.
It'll be on the next one.
Yeah, forget about the world of hunger. Show us the car. Show us Tesla orbiting the Earth.
Forget about world of hunger. Oh, I just want I want the shingles so they can charge stuff without having to look different than shingles. They got the solar shingles.
Solar shingles, basically looks like a roof,
but it's like
a
regular roof.
Panel.
Yeah. I want those.
I wonder how much they are. Do they exist?
Oh yeah, they exist. I'm sure it's very expensive.
Yeah.
Like everything else, it just costs money. Oh goodness.
What else you got?
I don't know.
I was so again, for spoiled Americans, we are. So I went on vacation to Orlando, went to Universal Studios.
Yeah.
And just to touch bases about that, the new roller coaster, the
Velocicoaster.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. It's one of the best roller coasters I've been on. Yet I still like the Hulk better. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's just because
of the
theming and everything else.
The launch is a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when it comes out to modern roller coasters, that thing is amazing. I'm not gonna say anymore, but it's super cool.
It looks really cool.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to doing that and the Hulk. And God, they've built so much since the last time we were there. I don't even remember the year we were there last time.
Well,
but they were
the Haggards, right?
We haven't rode that yet. I want to do that.
Oh, it's
that looks
so
really
cool. I mean, when you put the roller coasters by itself, you can really compare them. Yeah. Because the theme, where they are, they're all great. Even the rocket is just still cool to me.
Yeah.
So are you going anytime soon?
In June.
Cool.
We're doing that Orlando Informer thing on Facebook where they buy like a limited amount of tickets, and at 7:30 they kick everybody out except the people who have tickets.
You told me about it.
And it's like all the food and drink included.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool.
We're doing 2 nights.
And you're doing Disney or Universal?
Universal.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have a great time. I love Universal parks.
My buddy Greg's done it. I think once or twice, maybe twice. And he said last year they went and it was one night, and he was like, his wife said, next year we're doing 2 nights. He's like, okay.
Yeah.
But he told me, he said they ate so much. He said they were so full. He said we were literally just feeling like we needed to roll ourselves out the front gates. He said, and we got closer to the front gates and went by the Simpsons area, and they had tacos. Like, I mean, I could eat a taco.
Yeah, I know. He sounds like me. My wife's like, you
He's
don't
like,
have
we were
to
so
eat,
miserable.
He's like, my wife is like, you just eat to eat. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I could I guess But that's what people really do with disorders, like puke and eat more, because I
Yeah.
don't eat to be full. I just want to taste the stuff.
Yeah, I don't want to puke it though. Like I
No,
used to say, I wish there was a conveyor belt in the back of my head, so I could just keep eating it and be like, oh, this tastes
or
good.
take a
Oh,
pill.
that tastes good.
Take a pill that will just like disintegrate and break it
Yeah,
down. Something.
maybe.
I don't know. But no, I just like all different foods. That's my hobby.
We get Elon to work on that amazing whatever technology that's gonna make it so that we can eat anything and still wear the sizes we want to wear. That'll really change things. Everybody's be like, I don't want no microchips in my body. Well, what if you could wear a size 30?
Yeah, all the time.
I'm listening.
Yeah.
That
You
would be
won't get
great.
fat anymore. You just go dumber.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So I'll be happier, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't gain weight anymore.
What
You
was
just
it?
get dumber.
I always like famous quotes. I guess my mom got me started on this years ago. She would take clippings out of newspapers and stuff and tape them everywhere, like famous quotes from people.
I like quotes too.
And I think Benjamin Franklin was the one who said the secret to long life is good health and a bad memory.
I agree with that.
It's like, I like
Because
that.
people always say, less you know, happier you are.
Yeah.
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 I like quotes. I had one that I really liked, but I will remember how it's exactly. Oh, the art of knowing is knowing what to ignore.
I like that.
I love that. I
Yeah.
go by it, and I tell my wife all the time. She doesn't like my quote, but
I like that.
she says, "Are you listening to me?" I always say, "The art of knowing is knowing what to ignore." But I like it. It's by Remy. He was a philosopher, 12th century, somewhere over Mongolia area. He goes by Remy, longer name, but everybody knows him. But I like that quote a lot. It helped me through a lot lately, personal life and everything. So
Yeah.
I like that. I used to react to everything, like everything. Yeah.
What's funny is as you get older, you do get more patient. And you do learn to take a breath more between hearing something and reacting. And I know it's healthier. I know it's good for you. And then there's moments where you don't do that. And the people around you are like, wait a second, I can't believe you're like,
I'm still working on it. I'm still working.
This is a work in progress.
reacting
I'm
on
trying to be a
everything.
better person.
Yeah.
The situation caused old me to come out. Sorry, but
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
short fuse is my
yeah.
problem. Very short fuse.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff, but
So if you meet Jan in public, do not come at him, bro. Whatever.
yeah, don't make eye contact. What you looking at?
Don't come at me, bro.
No, not like that. Not
No.
like that.
But yeah. So I think we've tackled the world's problems. I think we fixed some of them.
Yeah.
I think that
If we said anything that offend anybody, it would like the I guess
Right.
about the how you said the war tourism. I ban and run with it because I thought it was like a brilliant idea because somebody
Yeah.
will actually do it. And
Well, yeah.
but we would just
I didn't mean it to be
no
mean or
no, it wasn't you.
disregard
I kind
human
of
life or anything.
went and ran with it with the Pope mobile going through Ukraine.
Listen,
Kiev
it's so stupid that
yeah.
probably Rick and Morty will make an episode about it in season 6.
It probably will happen too.
Yeah.
That's the worst part.
That's what I'm saying. It might be like a Black Mirror episode of, oh, you want to go to Crimea? Okay,
Yeah.
hop in the Pope mobile over here. We'll take you.
Uh,
You
and
want to shoot a terrorist?
they're gonna make packages where you can,
Who wants to fly the drone?
Was it at a show you told me about? And it wasn't like that. He would have people. You told me about the show, right? You know what I'm talking about?
Probably.
When the dude was like taking people and they would pay money to shoot somebody.
Probably. That sounds like me.
And for money, like, hey, you wanna kill a person, like a thrill.
Yeah.
And then somebody shot it, or whatever. I think it was you.
Probably. I watch a lot of weird stuff.
Yeah.
Of course, when you put that out there in the world, randomly people come up to me and go, "Hey, I got something really weird you'd like." And I'll go, "Okay." And then they show me something that's over the top, and I'm like, "Why? Why would you share that with me?
Why would you think I would like that, right? Yeah.
That's a little too far, man.
Yeah. Do I come across them?
I can't unsee that now. Thanks. Jeez. Yeah.
But no, I just hope that...
I'm glad you came by to do this.
Oh no,
I wanted to talk to you more than anybody about it because I knew that you are geographically, you have enough history to understand a little bit of what's going on over there geopolitically. But also, I mean, you're a very thoughtful guy, and a lot of people don't know that. But
why would you say that? Do I come across?
Well,
no, I know.
There's a lot of people that they're like, "Oh, he's really rough around the edges," and I'm like, okay.
That's what my wife.
He just doesn't want to talk to you.
Probably no. I don't.
He can smell the dumb on you.
No, I don't judge people like that.
No,
ever.
But yeah, I knew this was a conversation to have with you, and I'm glad you're able to do it. So.
I appreciate it. I had a good time, and plus, my wife doesn't want to talk about this much, so I had a good time to actually vent a little bit about this. And how I said, I think Putin is a terrible guy, and I hope this will somehow have an outcome better than it's been going. Basically, that's what we can just hope for.
I mean, Zelenskyy, and there's no way he's ever going to hear this. I think he's heroic for doing what he's doing, and I hope he's going to be okay in the situation, and I hope that the innocent people can get out of the harm's way. But I think that Putin's going to get what he wants.
He will. He will stay long enough because he's not going to look weak.
Yeah. And for those of you who are wondering what we're talking about with Lindsey Graham and the whole assassination thing, history has shown us that when you assassinate a leader, you make a martyr out of them, and then suddenly the rest of the world wants to come after you because you're now the bad guy.
Yeah,
that's how world wars were started.
But he was hoping that one of the rich oligarchs will actually get mad, and they will all pack and together and somehow pay to some assassin to take him out. But because
why say that out loud?
Exactly. No, I agree.
I mean, if you're us, okay, like if you're just a regular person and you say that, no one's going to listen to you, and no one's going to care.
Yeah.
If you're a senator, then it's kind of a big deal. Suddenly you're like, what did he say?
Well, it's like one of the oligarchs or the rich people, like Abramovich. He just sold Chelsea. I don't know if you saw that. The Chelsea soccer club.
Yeah, sold the soccer club. Yeah.
What is he going to be sitting in England? He go, is he talking to me?
Yeah.
Like, but nah.
No. So my theory is if something like that were to happen, it's not going to be one of those people. It's going to be someone who's an everyday person.
Oh, it has to be somebody super close to him.
It's going to be somebody who's super close to him, who is looking at the situation going, this is wrong.
Did you see the last picture of him sitting there were like two people and him at a meeting, and the table was super long, and they're all the way on the end. Nobody's near him. That's how it is now. Like there's nobody truly near him.
Well, and they're afraid to associate with being in the same vicinity because
I wouldn't be near him either. He gets a heart attack, and I just shook his hand.
Or if things go sideways and they go after him, you're the shrapnel.
True.
They're going to take you and them too.
Yeah.
It's
same.
Or
exactly.
if he's seen as the bad guy in the situation when it's all said and done, and
you were with him,
you were right beside him. You were shaking his hands. Did you see and it's like. Yeah, but
basically,
I was just in a room.
There's no good outcome.
Some random guy was like, "Sit here." I'm like, "Okay."
Hey, there's not a good outcome to be next to Putin at this point whatsoever. So
yeah.
But thanks for having me.
I still think we debated this very level-headedly. I don't think we sided on one side or the other. We were very understanding of the death and destruction and horribleness of it, and also criticizing enough of Putin, but also respect him a little bit, and the fact that it's kind of a good move for him and his country in a way.
NATO never talked to him. They never seriously talked to him, discuss his concerns because and they never did.
This is the conversation I wanted to have with myself, but I was like, I don't have enough horsepower to do this.
No, it's
I need help. I need help
No, that's
holding
good.
this because this
That's
is a
good.
lot. This is a
I
lot
don't
of
know how you
information.
do this by yourself anyway. I
I
would be like,
I
I would
fail.
stall.
I fail a lot.
I don't think you do, man.
I fail a
You
lot.
do know. I don't know. I think you do very good.
But listen, if anybody out there is wanting to do something like this, reach out to me. This is the kind of conversation we can have. And if you want to start your own podcast, you want to do your own thing, and you need help, I'd be willing to tell you how to do it. I can help you along the way with information. But also, like, you're going to make mistakes in life, and that's okay. But if it's something that you're passionate about and you want to do something, do it. Like, I had a long conversation this past weekend with a guy who was talking about he really wanted to get into racing. And I was like, well, what are you waiting for? He spent 9 years in the Army, and now he's out and he's got like a civilian job. And he's like, my dream is to get involved in racing. And I just don't know what I'm waiting for. And I was like, what are you waiting for?
Like in Timmonsville, like racetrack?
Just racing. Just racing. I don't know what kind of race. I was really drunk when he started talking about it, but I got on this rant of,
maybe he wanted to race you for a shot outside and you misunderstood.
No, he wanted to race cars. But I was like, whatever it is you're wanting to do, stop wasting time and do it. I mean, because you look right now, in a moment's notice, you could be in a situation like what's going on overseas, and suddenly your life is decided for you. Don't wait.
Yeah.
Like, if you got something you want to do it. Go after it. Start learning. Start getting involved. If you got to start on the ground level, do it. Hard work does pay off. Sometimes you get lucky.
I agree with that.
And
hard work does pay off.
If you're just stubborn and determined, you'll end up where I am. So
yeah. No, I love you. That's good.
Yeah,
it's good. I couldn't talk for this long.
Well, thank you again. And if anybody else is still listening, thank you for listening. And if you have something to comment, please check out the website, www.stuffiheard.com. There's a comment section on there. If you enjoyed this, rate, review, share with your friends. And we're going to wrap this up by saying, cue the cow.
Have a good night.
Bye.
So I want you guys to give me more likes. Give me more likes.